Hey everyone, welcome to our first off-season edition of AGT Time. Cody Patterson here
Along with Jay Bach. We've got something special in store for the next few weeks. We're going to try a little project together and see how this goes together. Hopefully, it's fun for you guys to listen to. It'll be fun for us to put it together.
Yeah, we've been working on this for the past couple of weeks. We've kind of been we took a couple weeks off once Champions finished, and just trying to think about what we want to do for the off season. I've come up with something a little fun. We've kind of been working on putting it together. Not starting this week, but starting in our next podcast, it's actually going to be a video podcast. There's going to be some video elements to what we're going to do. And we'll kind of get more details about that in a minute. But, Jay, we have a premiere date.
We've got a premiere date. We know it always takes place over the summer, or at least the traditional seasons do. The champion season didn't, but we knew it was going to be sometime over the summer, and they gave us, what was the date again?
So it'll premiere May 28th.
May 28th. And it'll run on, is that Monday nights?
That's Tuesday night. So
Or
that's a
Tuesday
Tuesday
night,
night. Yeah.
geez.
So that'll be audition. So it'll probably be a Tuesday, Wednesday night thing.
Yeah, as we get into finals or
The
result
live
shows.
shows. Yeah. So Tuesday and Wednesday will probably be just taped auditions until we get to the live shows, and then they'll go. Tuesday night will be the performances, and Wednesday night will be the results.
Do you have a sense of how many hours they produce, how many hours they put out in a regular summer season? 'Cause, I mean, between episodes and then live episodes and results episodes, like it's a lot of content that they create.
You're talking about just how much they actually televise.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking online here, and it looks like they televise 21 episodes.
21
Yeah, so for
episodes.
season 13, they did 21 episodes. Now, some of those episodes are 2 hours.
Right.
Like a live show will be 2 hours. A results show will be an hour. So if we started at like quarterfinals, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 live performances. So that's 10 hours there, and then another. So there's 15. I don't know, probably 30, almost 35 hours of content,
Yeah.
probably.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of television.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before. I'm a Big Brother watcher. You're a Survivor watcher. I think we've
Right.
talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah, we have.
As a Big Brother watcher, I'm also watching about 30 episodes of Big Brother throughout the summer as well.
Oh yeah.
So they do 3 episodes a week, each an hour long, and then that goes. That's like they're usually in the house. They've been in the house up to 99 days at some point. I
Oh,
think they've
really?
backed it off to about between 90 and 95 days. So you're talking, 3 episodes a week. They're doing, 30 something episodes, could be 40 or 50 episodes in a season.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
as a Big Brother watcher, I'm watching. That's a lot of a lot of TV throughout the summer. So
Do you watch any of the extra content, the live feeds, any of that stuff?
So I have watched the live feeds in the past. I'll usually watch them early on. The CBS will kind of do like a free 7 days of CBS All Access at the beginning of Big Brother. So I'll sign up for that, and I'll watch the live feeds for a little while. But because it's West Coast, the house guests don't get up till, and we're talking. This is not a Big Brother podcast. We'll talk a little bit about it since we got some time here, but. The house guests on Big Brother don't get up till almost 1 o'clock East Coast.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they're up late on the West Coast. They get up about 10 a.m. They got stuff going on all night over there. So I'm at work when they're getting up, and then they're kind of starting their stuff in the evenings.
Yeah.
East Coast. So I watch a little bit when I get home in the evening, but a lot of the stuff that goes on Big Brother at night is while I'm sleeping. So that's when all the good stuff
Right.
is. So you and I are big Rob Sesternino podcast listeners.
Yeah, my wife and I listen to a lot of the Survivor content, and that's kind of what one of our hobbies together is watching Survivor together, and all the joy that comes with listening to Rob and his cast of characters talk about that.
Yeah, so he has a guy, Taron Armstrong, that does a daily podcast throughout the entire summer of Big Brother. So every morning, he's watching live feeds all the time. So every morning he's watching, or he does a podcast of what happened the night before. And that's how I get a lot of my Big Brother content. So you're talking a lot of AGT content. During the summer, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of podcasts.
Boy.
But we're here to kind of talk about, we'll be here all summer to talk about what's going on in AGT.
Yes, yes.
And that'll start May 28th. And I was kind of looking back at season 13 because it felt early, but they started on May 29th last year.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
I thought usually AGT started, middle of June sometime. But it looks like they're backing it up to May now.
Well, at the end of the day, this is probably pretty affordable content for them to create. The the production is all in place. It's not, it's easy to stretch an episode into 2 hours if you need to. It's easy to create your results show. Like it's affordable TV to produce. So I'm not surprised that they produce as much as they do.
No, I'm not surprised. And they get hundreds and hundreds of people of auditions. So,
Yes.
these judges are there long hours. They're, I guess right now, they're doing it now, where they're just going and just watching auditions all day long. So they almost have a limitless number of content that they can produce.
Yeah, and I would be curious. I don't really know the ins and outs of the casting process. The judges proper don't see every act. I'm sure they need to be cleared for to get on the stage through some pre-screening, and then they get on the stage, and then the judges vote if they're going to go through, and then they whittle it down to what we're going to see on the live performances. And there's certainly a lot that goes into it. But yeah, there's auditions going on now. I know that I've seen a few things pop up in my news feeds about they're in this city or that city, or they're going to be coming here or going there. And so it is fun to see that it is kind of a year-round project. And I'd love to hear from somebody who maybe has an inside scoop, who's gone through the auditioning or has shown up at the auditioning or watched some of these audition episodes. If you're in the audience, it'd be fun if somebody stumbles across this and has some inside view on that. I'd love to hear your point of view. Pick your brain a little bit.
Absolutely, we're always excited to have someone come on that's kind of got some insight to the show. It gives. We're big fans. I'm a big behind the scenes type guy. I kind of like to know how things work. So we'd love to have someone on that's kind of been through this.
Yeah. So come. Anybody's got comments, reach out. We like to drop our Twitter and our Facebook here. Okay, let's see if I can do this right this time.
Okay, go for it, Jay.
You can reach us on Twitter.
Yes.
At AGT Time.
AGT Time, that's right, yeah.
Or on Facebook, it's AGT Cast.
That's right.
Or you can reach us through email, agtcast@gmail.com.
That's right. Yep, very good, Jay.
Nailed it.
Yep, and we each have our own Twitter as well.
Right. My Twitter is OneManBander, at ONE OneManBander.
And I'm at Cody L. Patterson. So lots of different avenues that you can get in touch with us. We also got a plug. Hey, go on iTunes, rate, review, comment. We'd love to get a 5-star review. So now that we've kind of got that business out of the way.
Yeah, I got the business out of the way. Let's get down to business.
So what we're kind of thinking of going over here, and I'm going to admit, I'm going to go ahead and disclose this a little bit, that I stole this idea from, we're big Rob Cisternino fans. I stole this idea from one of his podcasts. I was listening to one of his. I thought I'd never heard of this thing before, but once he did it on one of his podcasts, I thought, hey, this would be something that's really, really cool to kind of do with AGT. And we're going to do something that's called Brant Steele, brantsteele.net. And basically, if you've never heard of this, it's a site where you can do simulations of Survivor or Big Brother or numerous other reality TV shows. They've got, looks like, all the seasons of Survivor listed on there. I haven't gone through the Big Brother, but they've got Big Brother on there. They've just got many others. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to take some of our favorite AGT performers and see what they would do in a simulated season of Survivor. Jay, you're a big Survivor fan?
I'm a big Survivor fan. It's I've watched every season at least once and processed it through Rob and Josh Wigler's evolution of strategy, and so I'm pretty familiar with the show, pretty familiar with the setup. You and I talked a little bit about, if we branched outside of the AGT universe, we could talk about America, or talk about Survivor, or talk about Big Brother, or some of the ins and outs, and educate each other, and maybe have a discussions about what is or isn't good television, what's right about them, what's wrong about them, but I feel like this is an opportunity for us to maybe talk a little bit about the ins and outs of Survivor, answer some of those questions that you'll have, see if I can answer them. Hopefully I can. But also sort of watch these America's Got Talent performers in a Survivor situation. We'll see what it looks like when we put them out on the island.
Yeah, I'm not. I've not really watched Survivor. I'm not going to say I'm not a fan of it. I've just never watched it. It's not really been a show that's been an interest to me. I've been more of a Big Brother type fan, which is, we each kind of have our own. Some people like both, and that's fantastic. I've, shown a little interest in it. I actually recorded this season's Survivor. I've not watched any of the episodes yet, but I've recorded them because, interestingly enough, there's a guy not 20 or 30 minutes from where I live that's participating on Survivor. So I thought that was kind of interesting to have a local guy, and it might be a chance for me to get into it. But I also thought this might be a little bit fun to get some of our AGT performers in there. You can, to go through each thing. They'll be assigned. We'll assign them a tribe, and they'll get their flame. Was it their torch?
They'll get their torch snuffed.
Get their torch snuffed. They'll find rice. They'll find the immunity idol. Whatever it may be, it kind of goes through all of those steps. You can. Jay, you can kind of explain, hey, what does this mean? Or, hey, why did they do this strategy? Or, one thing we're really going to kind of talk about is these particular acts that we chose. What does their talent bring to the island? What does their personality bring to the island? So we're kind of going to dig. We're not just going to go through each step and just do it real quickly. We kind of want to dig into it a little bit, kind of tell a little story if we can.
That's what we're going to try to do. We'll tease this out, I think, over a few weeks in the next coming weeks as you see these come up. That's what we're going to have is the story of America's Got Talent Survivor Edition, or Survivor America's Got Talent Edition. One of the two.
One of those two, something like that. But kind of what we're going to do in this podcast is just kind of go through the acts that we've chosen to go to the island. We're not going to get into the simulation in this episode. We'll do that in the next episode, and we're going to include video in that, and we're actually going to post this on our YouTube channel so that you can watch the simulation as we're talking about it. And we're going to stretch this out over a few weeks. We're not going to go through it real quickly. We want to spread it out. We kind of want to fill our off season. We got a lot of time to fill. So we'll make this, we'll make each episode about an hour, maybe. See if we can do an episode of a few episodes of Survivor each podcast. But we want to go through the acts and kind of just talk about who we chose, why we chose them, and what they're going to bring to the island.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start this off, Jay, if that's okay.
Please.
So we chose Survivor Worlds Apart. Is that right?
Survivor Worlds Apart,
okay,
correct.
So we chose this because we kind of wanted to get as many acts as possible. Not being familiar with Survivor myself, I asked Jay, "Hey, what would be the best season to do?" You did mention that there are some seasons where they have 4 tribes. Is that right?
There have been only a couple seasons with 4 tribes. 3 has been a pretty common number. They've done a few 3 tribe seasons. One where they split them up based on brains and beauty and brawn, and this one they split them up. There's a lot of jokes about the way they split them up, but they had white collar people, people who work white collar jobs, the blue collar people who are your blue collar people, and then the no collar tribe. And they said these are groups of individuals who are typically classified as, I guess, free spirits, maybe. There was originally a coconut vendor and a jewelry maker, and some pretty non-traditional maybe points of view in the world. So that's how they split them up: red collar, blue collar, no collar. I thought that might be a foundation for us to work from as we slot acts into the Survivor game.
So we kind of took that theme and we decided to go with. We started off with all the AGT winners.
Right, 13 seasons, 13 winners.
Yep. So it kind of gave us an odd number, so we kind of made some adjustments. So we fortunately we went with singers as one of the groups. So we kind of named our white collar people the singer group, but they're not necessarily white collar people. It's just that's the group we put them in. So we have our singer winners. So that would include Bianca Ryan, Kevin Skinner, Michael Grimm, Landau Eugene Murphy Jr., Grace Vanderwall, and Neil E. Boyd. Now, we decided to remove Neil E. Boyd from this because he's no longer with us.
He did pass away just in the last, 6 months or so?
Yeah, so we're recording this in March 2019. It's, late last year, maybe sometime in 2018 that he passed. So we kind of just felt, out of respect for Neil E. Boyd, we would just remove him from this competition.
Yep, well, we won't be making any jokes on Neil E. Boyd.
No. So, we kind of have some other options. I looked at that season, and there was another singer that finished. I think he might have finished. He might have been second or third, somewhere around in there. Eli Matson. He didn't win that season, but he was in the top 5, so he was definitely one of the top singers of that season.
Yes.
So we can include him as a replacement for Neil E. Boyd, or we can look at someone else if you have a preference.
We can table it for now. I think we've got. How many others are on that list then?
So we've got some other lists. I didn't get a list of other singers, but we can definitely look at other singers and kind of table that and look and plug them in for next week. So it's your call. Whatever you want to do.
Boy, I don't know. We've got.
There's a lot of good singers out there.
Yeah, there are. Do we need one more to kind of round that group of singers out?
Yeah, we just need one more to round out that group. So if you want to kind of bring in a wild card, if you have someone else in mind that you want to bring in, I'd be open to it.
Let's pencil in Eli Matson for now.
Okay. there may be we may call an audible later on, but we'll leave him in for now.
That sounds good.
Okay. So then we, for our blue collar, we decided to go with all of our other winners.
All the other winners.
Yeah. So this kind of made it a little more even. So we have Terry Fader, ventriloquist, one of the best ventriloquists we've ever seen.
Season 2.
Season 2 winner. Now we have Olatte Dogs. Now, for those of you that have been listening to the podcast with me the past couple of years, you kind of know my beef with Olatte Dogs. So I have the idea that we should not include them because first off, it's just a sore spot for me. Out of respect for all the other acts that should have won in season 7, I think that we should not include them. But if we did include them, the question would be, well, who's coming to the island? Is it the 2 guys or is it the actual dogs?
So all the dogs. Or 2 guys and all the dogs.
Right.
I don't know.
So that'd be kind of a big crew that would be coming to the island. So we do have others that we decided to go with. So in my opinion, Olatte Dogs shouldn't make this cut.
Oh, we can scrap them.
Perfect. Good.
All right.
Then we have Kenichi Abina, the dancer. Is that
dancer?
Yeah. Okay. Matt Franco, magician. Yep. Paul Zerdin, another ventriloquist. So we got 2 ventriloquists trying to battle it out in this group.
Yep.
And then we actually got a third one, Darcy Lynn. So
3 ventriloquists.
3 ventriloquists, all on the island. Yep.
Yes.
And then we have Shin Lim, another magician.
2 magicians, 3 ventriloquists,
and a dancer.
So
not a whole lot of mix there, Jay.
No. Surprisingly consistent, I guess, in the non-singing acts that have won.
So what kind of things would a ventriloquist or a magician or a dancer, what kind of things would they be doing on the island?
Boy, I mean, we can talk about ventriloquists specifically for a moment.
Okay.
Part of the game, part of the production, I guess, is having a producer ask you questions in your confessionals and having confessionals. Maybe you wouldn't need somebody to ask them questions. They could just interview themselves.
Do they throw their voice a lot? Do they?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. In this situation, the producer wouldn't ask them questions. They'd just be able to ask their own questions.
Fair enough.
I could imagine there being some confusion around camp as to who's asking for what about what, or if you're particularly good, if you convince people that your puppet or your hand or whatever you happen to scrap together out there is actually another, sentient being, you might get an extra portion of rice or something.
Okay. So that brings up another question. Do they get to bring their puppet? Does Petunia get to come out to the island, or does Darcy Lynn kind of make her own puppets with leaves and stuff?
You might have to get a couple coconuts and bang them together.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Generally, you're not going to be allowed to be bringing luxury items on the island with you anymore. So, no, I don't think you're going to see any puppets out there. If we're sticking with the script here.
Okay, fair enough. So what about some magicians? What can they do?
Boy, what can magicians do?
Would Shin Lim be able to hide the immunity idol pretty well?
I'd imagine that he could. Once he has possession of it, he can make sure that it shows up with him when he needs it, every time he needs it. Just practically speaking, the magicians are going to be a very observant type. They're going to be able to maybe search well for the hidden immunity idols and have a good chance at finding them. I don't know.
How well would their fire making be? Would they be able to just make fire out of nowhere? How well would they do in the fire competition?
Do you watch any Arrested Development?
No, I don't. No.
One of the characters, he's a struggling magician at best. And he does this thing where he flashes his hands, and it's supposed to be a ball of flame, but it just squirts lighter fluid, and he says, "But still, where did the lighter fluid come from?" So, depending on what you can hide on yourself, what you might be able to sneak onto the island, maybe you could sneak that lighter fluid in.
It would certainly help them in the fire competition, though.
It would help.
Yeah.
There is something, magicians, they need to insure their hands. They have delicate hands, and they need to avoid blisters and that sort of stuff. So it might be a little rough for, I'm thinking specifically of Shin Lim, who's all about the close-up magic. He wouldn't want to, be bruising up or, messing up his, very famous hands at this point.
Yeah, I guess the sun would kind of be pretty brutal out there on the beach and the salt water.
That too.
Yep.
I'm thinking, when you're rubbing sticks together.
Oh yeah, you're right. There you go.
That's what I was thinking for the fire making.
Yeah. Okay. So. Now, what about Kenichi? What would he be able to do out there?
What would Kenichi be able to do out there? Entertain?
Okay. What's his little trick that he does? Was lowers his head and
the one where he lays down and stands back up.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know. He does tend to wear that really big jacket.
Okay.
And I think that the little bit of shelter that might provide would be convenient for him and the rest of his tribe.
So you think he could convert that into some sort of hut or canopy?
Yeah, again, assuming that they allow him to bring it on, but it'll at least cover a couple of people if they're friendly.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments that you might be able to make on these particular winners?
Oh boy, I don't know. Just as a group, there's got to be a lot of joke making, a lot of comedy. I think it would be fun to watch them as a group, just hanging out together. I would be excited to see that on my TV.
Okay, now if you mentioned that, so our singers, would there be a lot of campfire songs going on?
Quite possibly. Again, I don't think we're going to see much for instruments along with them, but and maybe it would turn into this big game of one-upsmanship. I can sing louder, I can sing higher. I'll do that better. Maybe they would. Maybe they wouldn't get along so well. I don't know.
Now, if I remember correctly, Kevin Skinner was a chicken catcher. Is that right? Wasn't that his occupation?
Yes, indeed. That's what he was labeled as, was a chicken catcher. He just this last week on Survivor, Big Wendy let the tribe's chickens free that they had won as a reward. She let them free because she didn't want them eaten, didn't want to see them eaten. She had not up to this point apparently been a vegetarian, but maybe she's become one since then. I don't know. But she just kind of had this big heart for the chickens and wasn't willing to see them die. So she let them go. Now I'm thinking that maybe having somebody like Kevin Skinner around would be really convenient if you've got a Big Wendy on your island that's letting the chickens free.
Yeah, or just at least that he could be the one that if you don't want to have to take care of the chicken and cook it up for dinner, then he could at least play that role. That could be
he probably knows his way around. Yeah.
Yep. Now we have different types of singers here, because I guess Bianca Ryan would be more of like a pop singer.
Yeah.
So we got different singing styles here.
Yep. Boy, if we were gonna kind of get a little bit more granular about it, yeah, Bianca would be more of a traditional pop singer, right? We've got Eli Matson is maybe a little bluesy.
Yeah, I think he was. Let me check on that real quick. But the big one would be Grace, because she wouldn't have her ukulele.
No, although back in season 1, back when the luxury items were a little more common, something you'd see a little more often, the very first gal voted out, she brought her ukulele with her to the island too. There's a really sweet scene between her and the eventual winner of the season, Richard Hatch, just sort of enjoying some music together. So, it wouldn't be unprecedented for there to be a ukulele on the island, but, I wouldn't expect it.
Okay. Now, Eli's wiki page has him listed as a pop and rock singer, but now he's also got listed on his website as a MySpace site.
Oh, boy, that's old.
Yeah, so he's still living kind of in that AGT season 3 era when
He hasn't grown up.
when when MySpace was a thing. So there you go.
There you go. No, old Eli Matson.
Yeah.
I do remember enjoying his music when he was on. I've been known to wear a flat cap or two, so I liked his style as well.
Okay. Now, can they bring hats to the island?
Sometimes they'll allow him a hat. Sometimes, you'll see him go a whole season without.
Okay.
So, if that's part of his kit, part of his identity, you might see that out there with him.
I lost you, Jay. I lost you there.
I was saying you may or may not see a hat with them. If it's part of their identity, sometimes they'll allow that to come with them, or if it's something that is just part of what they allow them to wear. Most people, you won't see them wearing a hat for their season, but sometimes you will.
Okay. So that's 2 of our 3 groups. So for our third group, we thought about just picking some of our favorite acts that we might want to include, some fun ones that we might like to see go to the island.
Right. These would be the no collar tribe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little out of the box.
Right. So these are not winners. They may not have even gotten to the finals. They were just some fun things, some fun acts that we remember, and that may have bring some sort of skill or entertainment value to the island.
Yeah. So let's maybe take turns kind of offering up somebody. We'll talk pros and cons, and we'll make ourselves a list here of who we think might belong on the island.
Yeah. Now, you and I were kind of talking offline about this a little bit, and it seemed that both of us we thought about the Kinetic King.
Yeah.
So the Kinetic King, for those that don't remember, and we'll kind of talk about some of these, he was on, what season was he on? I should have had that up. I should have had all that ready. Season 6. So he was on season 6, and he would create, what do you call them, gadgets?
Yeah, I think that's what he called them, gadgets. Think, Rube Goldberg designs, right? This thing knocks into that thing. It releases the popsicle sticks that do the Cobra explosion thing that, hits this thing that runs into that thing that, eventually releases a balloon or something. But yeah, back in season 6, he he plays that sort of nerdy professor type, maybe, or the what would you call him, scientist, IT guy kind of thing. Really fun act, very, very unique. And I think that he tended to have to set up his gadgets, or set these things up, in the hours and hours leading up to the broadcast, and then he would tend to be the first act that goes, and then they sweep the stage and bring on the next one. So it really, really unique act, definitely.
Right. Now, he was kind of a fun personality. As it was, he would wear, from his picture, I remember he would wear like a bicycle helmet,
a lab coat,
lab coat, bicycle helmet, and safety goggles. And he would come out and kind of talk about his gadgets. One of the things called a stick bomb. And this was a season where Pierce and Sharon were still were back on the show. So, obviously I don't think Pierce was too keen on him, but I think they put him through anyway. But you're right. He would kind of be the first one on the episode because he had to set it up hours before. Sometimes I think starting like the night before, something like that.
Yeah.
To get everything, and then his act was over in seconds.
Yeah, in just a matter of minutes. But no, he was a fun personality. He was a really interesting guy. One of his very last gadgets just would not work for him. I think he was ultimately sort of blamed on his colored popsicle sticks hadn't dried all the way before he used them to make his sort of exploding snakes or his exploding sticks, and they just stuck together, and the gadget didn't go, and it was kind of a flop. But he was such a lovable character. I think we can both agree that he'd be really fun to see back. So we can definitely pencil him in for now.
Great. I would love to see him on the island. What kind of things would he bring? I mean, would he be able to take some actual sticks from trees or whatnot and kind of piece? What kind of things would he be able to do on the island? What would give him an advantage?
He would be able to trap animals.
Okay. Like just build little cages and whatnot, little traps.
Like a mouse trap out of sticks and wires and that sort of stuff.
Okay.
String and.
So he'd be able to provide food and.
Yeah, just rewatching season 1 with my wife, they actually they catch rats with a sort of improvised mousetrap that is just a rope through like a hollow bamboo that as the mouse goes in there to eat it, it triggers it and it snaps and captures the rat. So there was definitely a use for mouse traps and other critter traps. Make some food out of it. Absolutely. I think he could be a provider that way.
Well, good. I don't know if he'd be one of the best in competitions.
He may not be the most physical, but he might be very good at solving puzzles.
Oh, agree.
Which is definitely a part of the competitions, is the ability to solve puzzles.
Yeah, his balance may not be too well, or might not be too good, or his upper body strength may not be good. But you're right. If he could solve puzzles, that if he could get a couple puzzles at the beginning of the season,
yeah. It makes himself valuable to his team in the beginning before they, swap or I guess merge tribes and they start playing an individual game. But then it becomes a strength that he can maybe withstand, win a couple of immunities when he needs to with his ability to do some puzzles. So, I think that he's actually pretty well suited for the challenge side of the game. Surprisingly.
Okay, well, good. Who do you have on your list?
Oh, let's see. I listed. Where do I want to start here? Well, I think the oldest episode that I've got somebody from is season 8. Do you remember Red Panda?
I do remember Red Panda. Yes.
She was our unicycle riding, bowl flipping act. Would you call her a danger act? It's one of these shows. I think she's come to Des Moines a few times, like to perform at halftime of our D League or G League basketball games, or some of those sort of things. I think that's sort of her full-time gig, is like halftime shows.
I think that's kind of what I've heard, is that she does halftime shows for like NBA or basketball games.
What the Kinetic King might lack in balance, she more than makes up for.
Agreed.
So she's, she's one of those that stood out to me as I was kind of going through these. I don't know that we would need to see her out on the island, but she's definitely one that crossed my mind.
She'd do very well in any of those balance competitions. She would do very well, with anything that involved bowls. She would at least be able to entertain people. Maybe she could stand on a stump and and flip bowls. or something.
Yeah,
But at least she'd have some sort of entertainment value.
You guys are all the way over there. The rice is done cooking over here. I've got these 7 bowls of rice, and we got to bring them over there.
That's right.
And
Yep.
Yeah, that may be a little bit of a niche that that she would be able to fill. I can't imagine her doing particularly well, but that might make putting her into the Brant Steele just that much more entertaining.
Yes. Now, I don't know how well her communication skills would be. I don't know how well she would do in the interviews or the confessionals. I think she might.
Social game would be lacking. It's difficult to understand and to communicate, on that very very deep level that you need to communicate to understand the social aspect of the game, the game aspect of it, to really position yourself to lie and find your way through the game. So that could definitely be difficult for her as a non-native speaker.
Okay, so we'll go back to one of my lists. Unless you have anything else for Red Panda.
Nope. I feel like we've discussed her enough. We can see if she makes it onto our final no-collar tribe here.
So one of the ones that I wanted to bring on is Deadly Games.
Okay.
And not the girl, but the guy.
Oh,
just the guy. Because I don't know if the girl would bring any value to the island other than maybe eye candy. And I'm not saying,
sure.
and I'm not saying that only the women are eye candy. I'm just saying I don't know what other skills that she would be able to bring.
Yeah, she is not the knife thrower.
Correct.
Of the true.
That's what I'm glad you clarified that, because that's where I was trying to go. Was I want the knife thrower on there. I think that would probably be the better skill on the island.
I think ability with tools, with knives, that sounds like something that would be useful out there. Looking at their page on Wiki, it says Alfredo studied magic, juggling, and Globe of Death, but in the end fell in love with knife throwing. So he's got some ability out there as I guess should he make it that far, he'd be able to relate to our magicians. Certainly have something in common with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, his at least his ability to catch things, or I think his social game would probably be pretty good too. He seems to communicate well.
He might just scare you into...
That's the other thing as well, yeah, that's true.
Working with him, some errant knife might just find its way into your back. I don't know.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be a lot of fun to have him on.
All right. Alfredo from Deadly Games.
Yeah. Now,
Silva.
Do they have competitions that kind of gear towards that type of stuff?
It's common to see slingshots.
Okay.
And that's not... it's kind of like a projectile. It's kind of like knife throwing, like in a very...
And you need accuracy.
Right. Your ability to aim and be accurate. I think the training himself to focus and to be in the moment that he's in would be really helpful for some of the challenges, for some of the game, and to be able to communicate in a way. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I can go with it.
Okay. Well, good. Deadly Games on the list. Or, sorry, just Alfredo from Deadly Games.
Just Alfredo.
Yeah, just Alfredo.
So, yeah, there you go. I like him. I'll put one of my favorites out there, also recently seen on our Champions edition of America's Got Talent, Piff the Magic Dragon. Okay. Let's talk about a fire starter, right?
Okay, yeah, good one. Now, does Mr. Piffles get to come?
No.
Okay.
No, we'll just take Piff. He's cool. I don't think that Piffles would add anything to the show for me.
And does he actually wear the dragon outfit?
That's all that I've ever seen him wearing.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
So I think so.
Okay. Would there be any downside to wearing the dragon outfit?
I would be. It would have to be hot.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
It would have to turn terribly uncomfortable. Yeah. It is actually a man in a dragon costume who doesn't actually breathe fire. So,
wait! Don't ruin the magic, Jay. Don't ruin the magic.
His commitment to the character is really bar none. But he, I get such a kick out of him. Any opportunity I have to grant him time on my screen, I'm all for it. So, I'd love to see him on the show again. It's one that we could decide to or not to put on. I don't know what else he adds besides that, comedic charm. We don't have a lot of comedians in here, as we're going with mostly all the winners from the first 13 seasons here.
I think his social game would be top notch.
I'd have to believe so.
I think that would be his strength, is his social game.
As a on just a purely practical level, like his comedy, his sense of what's funny, what makes people laugh, what makes people uncomfortable, like he really has a really great sense of that stuff. He presents it really well. I'd imagine that his social game really would excel.
I think he could probably take on a persona and be able to stick with it the entire time.
Yeah, if he wanted to, play the part of something other, yeah, absolutely. Again, one of my favorites of all the acts we've seen on the show over 13 seasons. He's one of my favorites. One that really just stood out to me from the first moment I saw him.
Okay, so one of my other ones that I thought would also be fun to watch would be the professional regurgitator.
Oh boy! All right, make your case for putting the professional regurgitator on the island.
Well, he could definitely hide the immunity idol.
Okay.
So once he finds it, he can hide it, and then when I guess when they get to, was it tribal council? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
So you get to tribal council, and is it Jeff Probst? Is that right?
Yep.
So when they're sitting there talking, all of a sudden, maybe he's not feeling too well. He's kind of getting a little stomach ache, and something's coming up, and there comes the immunity idol.
Right. So, being able to present that at any time, not just to Jeff, but to people that you want to be allies, or to people that you want to scare into not voting for you or something. Being able to produce that at a moment's notice would be really convenient. Boy, what else would he be able to do for us?
He also he's used to going without his shirt on, so we already see him with his shirt off.
Yeah, he'd be very comfortable in front of the camera without his shirt on.
Yep,
absolutely.
But I think that's about it.
That's about it. He, boy, yeah, I don't know that he brings a lot. He may be able to, in those very early days, bring in some lighter fluid or some gunpowder. He could.
That's a good point. He could hide things.
Things just might show up that the producers have no way of keeping that from happening.
Before he leaves for the show, he could just hide a bunch of things in his stomach.
Oh, some waterproof matches. How convenient. Mm-hmm. So, he might make himself valuable in the first couple days at least.
Okay. So I think that's all. I think that's all he would bring, would be able to hide things. So
it's something.
Yeah,
it's
something. It's a skill. Okay.
Possibly the opposite of the professional regurgitators, who I have listed next here. Tape Face.
Okay.
Who we don't get to see his mouth, or let alone anything go into or out of it. So he, again, is one of those acts that I get a real kick out of. I don't know that he provides anything to a tribe. I don't know that he provides his confessionals would be really weird with him sitting there sort of staring into the camera with his with
Yeah.
his dark eyes, trying to communicate something with his very but you know what? Like we talked about, he has a way of getting people to do things.
Yes.
He, in his most recent acts, we saw him get Terry Crews up on stage, stripping clothes off to for the judges. Right? He set the situation up where he had no choice but to do what Tapeface wanted him to do, which might be a skill for the island.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to get someone to vote someone else out, then I think he'd be the best person to do that.
He set it up in a way that they can't do anything but what you want them to do.
Yeah,
So,
and if they ever said, "Well, Tapeface told me to do it," you'd be like, "I didn't tell you to do anything." It's like,
I didn't tell.
I didn't tell you to do
I didn't
anything.
make you do it. Yeah, probable deniability.
Yep.
So, there you go. There's Tapeface. I get a kick out of him. I don't know that he'd make it in our final list here, but definitely one that might be fun on the island.
Yeah. Now I've kind of got some more listed here.
Okay.
So I've got Duo Transcend. Do you remember Duo Transcend?
Give me a real quick. Remind me.
Okay, so they're an aerial acrobatic couple. The guy is, I think, going blind, like he has some degenerative eye disease.
Okay, yeah.
So, and then one of their performances, he's supposed to like drop her and then catch her with his leg or with her on her legs, but he missed and she actually fell.
Right.
So I was thinking that, and it's nothing against the women on this. It's just that this just happens the way it is. But wouldn't want both of them. I would want just him, even with his degenerative eye disease.
Yeah. Losing your sight would be real tough out there.
Yes. And it'd be a big story.
At night. Yeah. It would certainly, make him maybe a sympathetic character.
His strength.
Yeah, he's built like a He-Man.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. Maybe some asset in challenges with his upper body strength. Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay.
What's this guy's name? Tice Nielsen.
Okay.
From Duo Transcend. Let's write him down.
Okay.
And he's a generally memorable act. Partly because of the error when they did drop.
Yes. It's not as bad as getting shot with a flaming arrow, though.
No, he did not get shot or shoot his wife in the neck with an arrow. So that's all things considered, they're doing all right, I guess. The next one that I listed down, I was going through looking for acts that were memorable, hadn't fallen into what we had seen before. One that jumped off of the page at me was Merrick Hanna.
Okay.
Do you remember Merrick?
I do remember Merrick. And
he's...
Go ahead.
About a 12-year-old, 14-year-old dancer. Young kid. He does like a lot of popping and locking and the robot, and he seemed to do particularly emotional songs as well, which I think translates to the screen. So Merrick Hanna, again, I don't know what he's going to bring to the tribe. He's not the most athletic, but certainly has some body awareness. I think that he could have some challenge abilities.
I think that's fine. He wasn't a big favorite of mine. I actually had quite a few issues with his performances when he was on AGT. It just didn't do anything for me. The dancing I didn't feel was very entertaining. I'm not sure what all he would bring to the island.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah, and definitely.
unless you know something I don't.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think that it's really going to be hard to cast a kid on the show and say that they're going to bring much. But again, this is really just Brant Steele,
Yeah.
so it may make for an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I just don't know what there'd be to talk about if he moves on from
Okay.
week to week.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any kids on your short list?
I actually do. I actually have one. Now, do you remember Caden Bart Rocket?
Yeah,
The
magician.
kid magician? Yeah, not him. I want his
Okay.
I want his sister, Brooklyn.
Okay, convince me.
Okay, well, first off, I think it'd be very funny that Brooklyn's on there and not the actual act Caden Bart Rocket.
All right. All right.
I think
fair
that
enough.
would be a big talking point.
Yeah,
hey,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, why did the sister get on and not him? Well, I think the sister was actually the better of the two. I thought she was more entertaining than Caden Bart Rocket was.
You know, they always say that, like the straight man in your comedy duo, he's the one who's really the talent.
Yeah.
You know, being able to give your the funny one something to play off of. So I can imagine that her role in all of this, she's the assistant. I get it.
Yeah. Now we have magicians on the show. We have magicians on the island.
Yeah.
She'd be the second one. She'd be the assistant.
They would love her.
Yes. So it would almost be a fight, or not a fight, but a competition amongst the other magicians to figure out, okay, who gets Brooklyn Rocket?
Yeah, Brooklyn Nicole Rocket.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I can see that. The cute little addition to the Magicians Club. I could see it.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Do you have anything
All
else?
right, I have one last group here that I kind of wrote down on my list. Again, kind of a silly act.
Okay.
I don't know that they would bring much. I don't know that they could exist without the other, but I've got Yumbo Dump.
Yeah, you'd have to bring both of them. And I think that they would be a lot of fun. They're another one that's used to not wearing a lot of clothes on TV. So they'd be
Right.
very comfortable in just wearing their, what do they call the little scarves, the colors?
Boy, I don't know.
The colors that they
They're-
wear. What are the little, not the guys, not them, on Survivor.
They're buffs.
Yes.
Yes.
So they'd be very comfortable just wearing their buff, whatever color it is.
Yep.
And that's all. Kind of going all Richard Hatch, but actually wearing the buff.
Right. They would be wearing it. They would certainly have a. What do I say? These gentlemen are rotund.
Yes.
And part of the game, the starving part of the game, the lack of food part of the game, some people lose a lot of weight out there. These guys would have a little bit of padding, and maybe be able to survive a little bit better than some others.
Agreed. And yeah, agreed. They could probably last a little bit longer, but sometimes us bigger folk get hungrier quicker than the ones that are in better shape.
Yes. With size comes appetite.
Yes.
So as long as they could rein that in and allow their bodies to shrink, I think they're fun guys.
Now, if it gets too crazy on the island, if people are getting too loud, they could go shh.
Yeah. In their confessionals, they'd be asked, so how was tribal council last night? And they could say, so good.
There you go. Their social game.
Guys...
Now, if they're in the same group with Red Panda, maybe maybe they could work on a little alliance. But I think their social game would suffer a little bit.
Yeah, and these, like in all actuality, right? Like they've reduced themselves down to a caricature of
Yes.
Of themselves, right? They've got their shtick of we make funny noises with our bodies, and we say shh, and we say so good. Like there's people in there. There's guys in there that might be interesting guys. I don't know that I know who they are. I don't know what's going on, inside their heads, but I think that these are a couple guys with a really wicked sense of humor that might make for really great TV if this were an actual TV thing going down.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create our own good TV through a podcast.
Our own little world.
That's
here.
Right. That's right.
So.
Okay.
That was the end of mine list. Did you have any more to add?
Yeah, I actually got two more.
Okay.
I came up with a pretty lengthy list. I kind of wanted to have some options, so I got two more.
That's all right.
I've got. Do you remember the Kristoff brothers?
Hand balancers.
Hand balancers. That's right. So I don't think they were actually brothers. It was like one of them was.
Yeah, one was very blonde and the other one was very brunette, if I recall. Yeah.
And they took their names and smashed them together and came up with Kristoff brothers. But you're right, hand balancers. And they had a little comedy to their routine. And I think when they first came out, it seemed silly at first, but then they really got serious in the hand balancing. But they do add some comedy to their performance. So I would like for both of them to be on as a unit. As one unit. I think their balance would be great. I think they'd have a good social game. I think they'd be very funny.
So in the challenges, I think that they have a clear advantage. I think that social game. I could. All right, I can see that.
Okay.
It gets a little bit funny as we're talking about. Is it going to be a duo or just one of them, or exactly how that goes down? But I like the Kristoff brothers.
Yeah, they would come in as one team, one person.
All right.
So, and then the last one I have is Christian Stoinev.
Oh, remind me who Christian Stoinev is.
So another kind of hand balancer type person from season 9. But he had a little dog with him. So he would do his hand balancing with his little dog.
Let me pull him up here.
Christian Stoinev. Stoinev. From season 9.
Christian Stoinev. Okay. All right. So he's...
He was actually on season 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm going to play a video of this because... Yeah, kind of a funny thing that he did. He was, I think, a capable act. Sell me on him. What else can he do besides hand balance, or what does he bring to the island for us?
Well, I think he probably doesn't bring as much as the Kristoff brothers because they're all hand balancers. So I think that was kind of the thing that really attracted me was that they'd have good balance. Now, if he got to bring his dog with him, that'd be different because the dog is kind of the act too, as well. They do the balancing. He does his balancing, and then the dog balances on him. So if he gets to bring the dog, that might add a little bit to it. I'm not sure what else he would bring that the Kristoff brothers don't bring.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm watching right now is him balancing. So he put a wine bottle down, or a champagne bottle maybe.
Yes.
Empty champagne bottle.
Yes.
And put his finger in it.
Yes.
And then balanced himself upside down with his finger in the bottle, and lifted his other hand so that his whole body was being supported by the one finger in the champagne bottle.
Yes.
So he's got incredible balance, incredible hand strength, and some amount of finesse here too, right? It's not just brute strength. So that's something. He does bring something similar to, different from the Kristoff brothers. I'm noticing that you kind of like the hand balancers.
I think I just went with the hand balancers because I was just looking for some people that had a lot of strength, maybe would add some finesse. I couldn't find much of anything else, but that pretty much what it came down to was the hand balancers.
Yeah.
So
one that I'd skipped over because we had just seen her in the Champions, and I didn't want to be too champion heavy. Was Sophie Dossie?
Yes.
And I'm going to put her on the short list here.
Okay.
Because we are pretty light on the on ladies.
Yes, I agree with that. Considering I eliminated two of them from two groups,
so we don't have a lot of ladies out there. I think that she sort of falls into the same hand balancer, contortionist, but she also shoots bow and arrow with her feet
with fire.
Yes. So she's comfortable with fire. She's comfortable with maybe being in an uncomfortable position if your shelter's not quite put together, right? You're sleeping on bamboo. What's she do? So her routine includes some amount of stretching. That centering yoga sort of routine. She may be able to mentally handle the game. So I'm gonna put her on the short list. Sophie Dossie.
Okay, good. I'm game with that.
So there's a good list there.
Okay.
We have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What we got? 13. We need to narrow that down to 6.
Yeah, we're gonna get that down to 6.
Oh boy, should we take turns knocking a couple out at a time, or do you want to pick one that's your safe that you definitely want to have go through?
I definitely want the professional regurgitator to go through.
You definitely want
because I want to see him hide stuff.
Okay, all right. Professional regurgitator, he's through.
Yep.
I would save. Who's going to bring something to the game here? I'm going to save Piff the Magic Dragon.
Okay.
He's again one of my favorites. I think that his social game would be second to none. So let's how about we each whether it's from your list or my list, knock off a couple that you think maybe shouldn't be through.
Okay, I don't think Merrick should be through. I'm not sure what he's going to offer.
That's fine.
Okay. Yumbo Dump. Well, I'm just throwing one out. If you want to throw one out too, you can.
Nope. No, that's good. Okay.
Sorry, I'm kind of eliminating your list. That's pretty bad.
No, that's good. That's good. We'll take out Yumbo Dump. So I'm going to take out a couple here, and then I want to maybe we each have to save one from the other person's list too.
Yeah.
So, let's see.
We can take Christian Stoyanov out.
All right, let's take out Christian Stoyanov. Okay. I don't know that he's going to connect with the podcast audience. Yeah. Boy, I hate to do it to her, but I'm gonna take out Brooklyn Rocket.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that the fun of her on the island might be there, but
not much else. Yeah, agreed. That's fine.
It was a fun idea.
Yeah.
All right. So now you got to pick one of mine that's left here that you want to keep. We've got Red Panda, Tape Face, or Sophie Dossie.
Let's keep Sophie.
Okay. All right. A last minute addition.
Yeah.
We'll take her. I'm going to keep your Kinetic King.
Okay.
All right. So that's 4 of the 6. What do we have left here? Red Panda, Tape Face, Alfredo Silva from Deadly Games, Trice from Duo Transcend, and the Kristoff brothers. Yep. Should we eliminate the brothers just because they're a duo and that makes it a little bit
sure.
A little bit hard?
Yep, that's good.
All right, we'll take them out.
Okay.
What do we have for gals left? Is it just Red Panda?
Just Red Panda. Yep.
Will she connect with our podcast audience?
I don't think so, because I don't think she actually even went very far.
No,
She might have done Vegas week. I can't even remember if she even. I know they put her through on auditions.
Yeah.
I don't remember if she even performed in Vegas week.
Yeah, I don't know that she had I remember her having a rough time with one of her acts. Like things just weren't working real well for her.
Yes.
So we can eliminate
Okay.
Red Panda. All right. Let's see. We got Trice from Duo Transcend and Alfredo from Deadly Games and Tape Face. We've got 2 spots left for those 3 guys.
Oof. You know what? I think we should put it out as a Twitter poll.
All right.
And let people vote on it. How about that?
Well, let's do it.
The top 2 vote getters get in.
Or we could say which one should be kicked out.
Yeah,
Your choice.
Yeah. The one that gets the most votes is kicked out.
All right. Okay. So you can you'll set that up with our at AGT time on Twitter.
That's right. Yep.
And we'll both tweet that out too. Give your vote. Tell us what you think. Interact with us a little bit, and we'll come together in another week's time, and we're going to start this thing with the tribes as mentioned, plus 2 more from this list here.
Okay, so just to kind of recap that, we're gonna poll out for Tape Face, Trice from Duo Transcend, and Alfredo from Deadly Games. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I will get a Twitter poll set up, and
we'll run that for a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
You can let it.
I don't know how long. I don't know how long you can set those up to run. I haven't done a Twitter poll in a while.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
Oh, this technology.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Anything else we need to go over before the end of the night then?
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot. We've gone about our normal runtime this evening.
Yeah, a little over an hour again.
Yep. So just to talk about 18 acts that are going to play Survivor.
All right.
Or a fake version of Survivor.
Come back. Yeah, come back in a week's time. Even if you don't plan on listening to this Brant Steele fake version of Survivor, hop on Twitter, pull up the Twitter poll, and give us some feedback here. The more votes we get, the closer we're going to be to getting what people want to see.
Yeah,
so
we get it. This may not be for everybody, but you know what? We don't care. We want to have some fun here in the off season.
This is pretty nichey.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we'll bring some entertainment value with it. I'm hoping that maybe Rob and Akiva aren't too disappointed that we are totally stealing this idea right very blatantly.
Yes.
So but there you go. It's happening.
Well, that's all I got for tonight, Jay.
All right. Well, that's all I got too. We'll say it one more time. Tweet at us at AGT Time. I'm at One Man Bander.
And I'm at Cody L. Patterson.
And also on Facebook, AGTcast or agtcast@gmail.com.
There you go. Bingo.
All right. Cody, have a great night.
Thanks. You too, Jay. Bye.
Bye.